What's going on, Thompsons Kennels? I be trying to get these videos out, but a lot of my real Thompsons Kennels fans, y'all know this is my busy season as far as my other trades that I do, other than my dogs, which I love to do. Um, I had a lot of brothers contact me. Um, a lot of people know I do HVAC work, commercial, residential, refrigeration, all that kind of stuff. And I had a couple of brothers call me and ask me about that trade and getting into that trade. And this whole video isn't about this, but I'm just going to try and touch on a couple of different subjects while I shoot this video because right now I'm busy. I'm trying to get my little one-on-one time with Hustle Boy here, aka El Negro Pablo. But I'm trying to get a little one-on-one time with him. This is a first grandson, the very first grandson to Hustle Man the Great. And my real Thompsons Kennels fans, y'all know how much I loved Hustle Man the Great. But this is his first grandson, El Negro Pablo, aka Hustle Boy. And me and him just out here chilling, a little one-on-one time, just some time for me and him to chill. He was primarily brought up in a cage. I'm acclimating him to being on a chain, so he's comfortable with both situations. And as you can see, it doesn't bother him the least bit. From having no chain on and to being in the cage, this is pretty much primarily his personality. But back to the HVAC trade. A lot of young brothers are interested in it. You go to trade school, you get your certificates, air conditioning, refrigeration, mechanics. You get your universal EPA license and all that stuff. And you know, some people go further with more of the general contractors licenses, mechanical licenses, depending on what side you're trying to get into. It's a very good trade. It is not easy work. It's hard, back-breaking work. You earn your money. It's good money. It's legit money. But you make great money, but you are gonna work. It ain't sitting behind the desk kind of deal. It's a lot of money invested in tools, a lot of money invested in equipment, and a lot of it is based on your talent. If you're on the service side, if you're on the installation side, if you're on the ductwork side, a lot of it depends on your talent and what you excel at. And it is a racist business. Um, I'm not a race card kind of person. I don't play that card. But, reality is reality. It is a racist business, especially if you're on the residential side of it, because a lot of these AC companies are white owned. And the way they look at it is you're African American. If you have any type of tattoos, anything that they can perceive as something that's going to make a homeowner uncomfortable when you pull up and knock at the door, they're not going to put you on that side of the work. Even if you're extremely talented, I mean, if you can take a voltmeter and your gauges and just run through a unit and diagnose everything, they're not going to give you that business because what they perceive the homeowners that you're going to be visiting is going to how they're going to perceive you, which is racist. Point blank period. They can justify it or say, hey, it's you shouldn't have. But if you're judging people off of physical appearance and not off of work performance, there's more to it than what you're initially asking. Like I said, it's a hard business, like I said, to be in. But if you're determined and you work hard and you got a passion to be successful, it is a great trade that I don't see a lot of African Americans doing. I'll try to do some more videos on HVAC, but this video here is to go over some things that I've made prior videos about. As y'all, the real Thompsons Kennels fans, I got a little playlist I done tried to put together on my channel. It's called Thompsons Educational Videos. Reality and the perception of reality. A lot of people look at my videos and they'll assume I'm some big corporation pumping out dogs every month, every 63 days. I got litters dropping. Nah, I got 12 dogs on my yard. Dude, don't hump me, cuz. But I got 12 dogs. Primarily, a lot of them I raised and bred and raised, I should say. And this is something that I love to do. This is something that brings me peace, as I tell y'all all the time. This ain't no huge corporation. I'm nowhere in the league of a lot of big time breeders. Just being honest with you. I got people that still been waiting for years to get dogs from me because I don't sell dogs to everybody. What are you doing, bro? Get off me. Get off me. I don't sell dogs to everybody. And with that being said, some people take it the wrong way. They're like, oh, he just doesn't want to sell me the dog. I got very little clientele when it comes to these bulldogs. People who buy dogs from me, they buy numerous dogs. They'll buy 3, 4 dogs at a time. They want my family tree or extension of my family tree so they could go on and do what they enjoy with their animals. And that's usually how my business goes. I bring new people in. I feel people out. If I believe they're going to do right, love the dogs, give them a fair shake, they're in positions to get dogs. But as far as just me out here producing so many animals, I don't have the time to. And I don't really have the lackluster to. When I do breedings, I like breedings that I look forward to, not what I perceive people are going to want money for. I had one comment. Somebody's like, oh, you switching up to the Red Boy Jocko stuff. The real Thompsons Kennel'S fans remember Thompsons, the real Reva. They remember the breedings that I did with that. I've been on to that. That ain't nothing new. I've been on to that 10 years ago. But with all that being said, you'll see a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of people use terminology on these channels that I'm going to explain to you right now. First one is puppy peddling. A puppy peddler is a person who doesn't have papers on their dogs. They don't really have the right situation and care for the dogs. In their primary, you'll see them selling dogs for $200, no papers, no veterinarian records. Give me $200, you can get a puppy. Yeah, it's a pit bull. You have no way of really being proved that. You're just taking his word for it as it being a pit bull. And you get your dog. Most of the time, the dog isn't dewormed. It's always medical issues 9 times out of 10 when you deal with peddlers. Because it's about mass production than it is about quality. If you're selling dogs at $200 a piece, assume how many puppies they have to peddle to get some money. The average rate for an American Pit Bull Terrier purebred with papers coming from a decent background of dogs is roughly $1,500 to $2,000. That's the market for these dogs. Wasn't always that way. When I first came in the game, these dogs were about $700, $800. High end was $1,000. I used to do working's man prices. I still do. Mine's is $1,500 to $2,000 because that's working man price in 2018. A gallon of milk is damn near $6. I mean, if you really invested in these dogs and you got to get the money back to put into your animals, you sell your dogs at a price that's fair to compensate. Like I said, dogs are incapable of paying my bills. I could never breed or sell enough dogs to pay my bills. I got to work and own businesses to pay my bills. These dogs is not that. It's just no way humanly possible. The only way you could do that is if you sold hundreds of dogs, did tons of breedings, behind breedings, constantly breeding and constantly breeding for these dogs, or you're just outright slapping people's heads off, charging $10,000 a dog, and you're still breeding a ton. That's the only real way you could live off of dogs. And that's just me being honest with you. You'll spend more if you're really into the dogs. You'll spend more money on the dogs because people don't realize it costs money to take care of these animals properly. Deworming, vaccinations, collars, and people say collars. Yeah, collars are expensive. The collars I use are expensive. Fleece lined and all kind of stuff. Collars, workout equipment, because it's not fair to have this amount of dogs and not be working them. They would be primarily living on a chain or living in a cage. So I spend thousands of dollars on workout equipment and shit for them to be able to work and be healthy, functioning animals. Thank God you done chilled out. Pablo. But that's primarily the gist of it if you're into it, really into dogs. There's no way for these dogs to just take care of you, especially if you got a family out here. You got to do more than this. That's for the average person. But puppy peddling is primarily what I explained to you before. I hear a lot of people put comments up there now, And like I said, I'm a fan of YouTube. When I do have a free chance, I try to watch videos of Kennel'S and stuff that I like, and I watch what people put up there. Pretty pedigree. That's another form that people use in a sarcastic way. Oh, you're just breeding for a pretty pedigree. What is a pretty pedigree? Somebody explain a pretty pedigree to me. All right, well, I'll explain it. A pretty pedigree is primarily a ped with a lot of great dogs on it, a lot of foundation dogs in it that have produced great dogs, that have produced traits and solid traits that came from their family line down. That's what a pretty pedigree is. That's what a pretty pedigree is. And if you're asking yourself what a pretty pedigree is, that means it's a well-bred fucking dog. It's a good bred fucking dog. That's what a pedigree tells you. The dogs behind what you're looking at were great dogs. So if a pretty pedigree is a bad thing, you're in a bad fucking situation. Real talk, just like that. Now, we'll turn this conversation into papers a little bit. People who usually make comments like that don't have papers. Now, I've been in the dogs for years and years and years. Papers don't make a dog. Papers is a guideline on what a dog is and how to breed the dog. That's what papers are. All right? Papers does not mean you have a great dog. You can have a great set of papers. And some people will say, oh, people hang papers. Of course. No fucking shit, Sherlock. Of course people hang papers on dogs. But you got to deal. Are you humping my boot, dude? Come on. But I done lost my train of thought. This dude's wilding out. But, of course people hang papers. That's anything. Anything somebody's going to try and take a shortcut or cheat. So that's not a fucking explanation not to have papers. It's something for you to understand what your dog is and how to breed your dog if you decide to breed your dog, period. That's what papers are. Okay? It doesn't mean your dog is great because you have great papers. But I'm going to tell you like an old head told me. Papers don't mean shit until you try or catch yourself out here in these streets trying to sell something. That's when papers mean a whole lot. Okay? You can have your own little group of dogs on your yard with no papers, and you can love them, do whatever you want to do with them, work them, whatever, however you would hunt, whatever you choose to do. But it does not mean anything until you try to sell them. Because for all the people who saying papers don't mean nothing and all that, I've never had somebody call me ever in my life or email me or Instagram me or whatever I don't have an Instagram account, but I had nobody ever just contact me out the blue and tried to buy a dog, and the conversation never came up with papers in the conversation. You can sit down and talk about how the dog's bred, the temperament, the traits of the family, and then at the end of the conversation is, oh, of course you got papers. I know you're a talented dog, man, and you've been breed dogs. Of course you got papers. That's when papers matter. When you catch yourself out here trying to sell dogs and you don't have the according papers. And papers is not something from the veterinarian could give you. Papers is a dog you purchased that's parents were registered under A.D.B.A, bona fide, A.P.B.T, whatever registry you use. You bought dogs that had papers. The papers have to be provided to you by the breeder. The person selling you the dog has to have the papers on the parents, or you don't get papers. That's how it works. I made videos over years about buying dogs and things you should look out for when buying dogs. I told y'all for years and years and years, stay away from people who don't want to give you your papers. I've owned dogs in my life without papers. A lot of idiots out here think Thompsons Kennels started when YouTube started. No, Thompsons Kennels started when I was born. I was always into dogs, always loved dogs. I've owned dogs without papers. I own great dogs without papers. But everything that I'm telling you is something to save yourself strife and headache, because I've been there. Papers don't mean nothing really until you catch yourself trying to sell something. And I used to pay for my dogs out of pocket. And what I mean for out of pocket is everything they needed, I worked. I took the money and bought it. They weren't taking care of themselves. I got more into the breeding, more into having correct dogs, having correct situations, and all that, and papers. Because I was tired of always paying for my animals. I formulated a plan where I can do a breeding here and there, charge the adequate amount of money, and the animals will take care of themselves. Dog food is not cheap. 50-pound bag of quality dog food is $35, $30. Medical, like I said earlier in this conversation, all this stuff adds up. And the more dogs you have, the more money it adds up. So if I let dogs go, that money is not for me to pay my bills. It's for me to have money to go back into the animals that I'm keeping. And I keep puppies. Be skeptical of any breeder that you realize they're not really keeping any dogs off of their litters. You don't see dogs that they've raised, that they've bred. Stay away from people like that. Because if I'm going to sell it to you, but I wouldn't keep it my goddamn self, I would be pretty skeptical of that. Okay? So that's the other part of this conversation we're going to talk to. And we're going to get gully and real in this conversation. You know, perception versus reality. I like a certain genre of music. I like hip hop. I was born early 80s. So I grew up with hip hop, R&B. I make videos where I dub music on my channel and stuff, and people perceive that as he's a thug, or or he's just a dumb nigger, or some so I'm just quoting comments that were typed on my channel that I remembered over the years. That I'm a dumb nigger, all kind of other stuff. Perception and reality, don't let that get you fucked up. I'll put it just like that. From the outside looking in, people think Thompson's Kennels is a huge business pumping out hundreds of dogs. That's your perception. Reality is never could do it. Don't have the time. Not into that. The video is the proof. Every breeding that I've done with this family tree of dogs has been pretty much documented, so you can actually see what's been going on. That's perception versus reality. Perception versus reality is because I like to listen to hip hop. I'm a dumb nigger. I'm very fucking intelligent. Okay? Always been smart. Never been dumb. Never was brought up in a situation in my life where being stupid or doing stupid shit was promoted. I was brought up in the school of hard knocks where you use your brain to be successful no matter what you're doing. Everything is a well thought out process that go ahead to get executed. So you have a plan, there's a process to achieve the plan and accomplish the plan, and you go ahead and achieve it. That's the school of hard knocks, which I was brought up in. Not promoting dumb shit or listening to people who are promoting dumb shit and doing dumb shit. And if you don't like profanity or you got kids watching, please tell them to leave the room. Because this is the part of the video where it gets kind of ugly. Now, we got the racist people, you got the silly people. I made videos years ago about tree huggers and people who, there is no law that your dog has to live in your house. Certain states and things, there are tethering laws. Some states there's no tethering laws. You know, I've been sitting here talking to you guys for 18 minutes and this dog's been on a chain. I don't think he's been crying or suffering yet. Perception versus reality. People who are overly attached to their dogs or think dogs are human beings, they look at this dog here and say, oh my God, look at the heavy chain. He's suffering. They promote all kind of foolishness, things that are not reality. Okay? This is a dog, a well-bred dog that I love, put years into having this blood and breeding it the way I've been breeding it. But to an animal rights person, this is going to be cruel. And this dog's suffering. Look at this dog. Look at his eyes. They can tell you from looking at this that this animal is unhappy. These are the fucking clowns that you got to deal with as well. Because I'm going to be honest with you, pit bulls are the niggers of the dog world. And I ain't using that to be ignorant. I'm using that word as exactly what it is. Pit bulls are the niggers of the dog world. And a lot of people who own pit bulls, you notice, they have attached pit bulls to black people or people with ethnicity. They attach this breed to. And that's why they treat this breed the way they treat it. They don't treat it like they treat a golden retriever. Why? Because 99% Caucasians, white people, own golden retrievers. Pit bulls are nigger dogs. You see this visual right here of this dog sitting here trying to eat my shoe, which he's a little baby puppy, he's just playing. This visual to them is I have guns and crack, and this Thompsons Kennel'S is a fucking dog fighting ring, and it keeps them up at night. That's perception, not reality. The little Don Mayfields, wannabes out here, everybody out here, people who own these dogs, because a lot of these dogs go back to Caucasians, white people, black people throughout their history. You go back to these dogs a lot. Perception versus reality yet again. They don't get treated fairly. Never have, never will be, because of what people think. And that's the world that we live in. Perception versus reality. And that's what the internet is. That's what all this foolishness you see up here on the internet is. It's perception versus reality. Everybody says they have the best dogs in the world now. I got the greatest, I got the tightest, I did this and I did that. I'm going to ask all of y'all one question. You tell me the genetic room that you was in, that you were able to give birth to a dog. Think about that. You bought the fucking dog from somebody. You purchased the fucking dog from somebody. Somebody gave you the fucking dogs that you have, that you're breeding, that you're selling. Did somebody drop off a dog? Or did a dog fall out the sky with papers and you began becoming a dog man? No, you purchased the dog from somebody. So how could you ever fucking think for a split second that you have created something different? If you create something different with American Pit Bull Terriers, it's because you're breeding different dogs into your program. You're not breeding other American Pit Bull Terriers. You're breeding other breeds of dogs, and that's the only way you can create something different with these dogs. Because last time I fucking checked, there's a breed fucking standard. There's a breed standard, and there's books that's been printed for years and years and years on how these dogs act, how these dogs are supposed to be, how these dogs are supposed to look, how these dogs are supposed to function. So how the fuck could you ever sit down and say, well, I have the best. I've done the best. That's fucking bullshit, man. Only thing you can have in this game is consistency. And consistency is years of people watching you produce dogs that are part of a family tree that coincide with a breed standard. That's what separates great breeders and bullshit breeders, is years and years of work. All the people that you look up to in this business, the reason you know them is because years and years and years later, people are still using their blood. People are still using dogs that they produced back then in their program today. That's why you remember them. What does that take? That takes time. Doesn't happen overnight. I probably won't get the real recognition for my dogs until I'm probably about 60, 70 years old. Because that's how long it takes to create a program, a lifetime. It doesn't happen overnight. So all of that, I have the best, I have the greatest bullshit. You pumping your own flag. Like I said, just I'm humble with mine, bro. I'm consistent. I put time in, and the proof is in the pudding. This ain't no huge corporation. People who buy dogs from me buy numerous dogs because they appreciate the program, which I prefer because I don't like dealing with people. I like having a small group of people that I deal with that treat the animals the way they're supposed to be treated, give them the respect that they deserve, and they do their thing with their animals. So we went over puppy peddling. We went over perception versus reality in this video. We've gone over a little bit of HVAC stuff at the beginning. We've gone over financial sides of taking care of these dogs and what truly goes into taking care of these dogs. I got 2 more cages I gotta put up. That's another $1,000 in cages right there. Just 2 of them jokers. The green ones that I'm going to now. The green ones I'm going to now, they like $350 a piece, plus taxes and then the flooring and all that. But I gotta put up 2 more cages. The money goes back into the dogs. The money goes back into the setups, all that good stuff, the equipment. Money goes back to all of those things. So I'm not having to take care of dogs out of my personal pocket. They pay for themselves. I find the breeding that I want to do, that I want to keep something off of. I do the breeding. The money goes back. If I let a couple of puppies go to my select clientele that I deal with, people who love these dogs and are educated about these dogs, that are in a position to get a dog from me, those people get animals. The money I get goes back into the dogs. We went over pricing, trying to get a good video out for y'all, because like I said, I'm not going to be able to put these out all the time. And puppy peddling, and you know, you're going to have the haters. Social media allowed haters to have a real voice, people to talk shit, feel comfortable. You know what I mean? That's what the internet has allowed. The internet has allowed clown motherfuckers out here in these streets to feel safe. Because you can sit in your house and type up whatever you want to type up. You can post whatever you want to post, and you feel in your mind there ain't going to be no repercussions for that. That's what social media has promoted over the years. It's a way for clowns to feel safe. Because a lot of people type stuff and put stuff up there, but you ain't going to stand on that. You ain't going to stand on that in front of me. A lot of the young guys starting kennels, good guys. Because I see now with YouTube, perception versus reality. I never had a motherfucker come buy a dog from me in a shirt and tie. I'm an African American. I'm out here with sweatpants and boots on. Perception versus reality. Because you're black, a lot of racist people perceive you're an ignorant nigger. And they like to promote thuggism and all this other shit because you own these dogs. A lot of young guys starting kennels, they going through a lot, getting a lot of hatred from people. Gotta keep your head up, bro, and you gotta keep promoting positive animals, positive dogs. Keep faith in what you're doing. Put God first, because you're gonna take your lumps. Why? Because you got people who feel safe. They gonna type crazy stuff up there on the internet. Some of them will be bold enough to make videos. People gonna play them games with you. They gonna say because you ain't wearing a shirt and tie, or you listen to a certain demographic of music, that you're an ignorant nigga with fighting dogs. That's what they gonna do. You gotta know that, bro. Very few people gonna show genuine love and say, damn, man, I like your dogs. I like your program. You heading somewhere. There's very few people that's gonna show you that genuine love. So if you out here looking for it on social media, man, bro, you might as well get a shovel and start trying to dig for diamonds out here if you're looking for love on the internet. Straight up. So all you young guys doing your thing with your dogs, man, be humble. Understand you going to get hated on. All right? Because like I said, I wear a shirt and tie to go to church. I don't wear a shirt and tie to buy dogs. A lot of my customers who purchase dogs from me are people who look like me. But don't let a pair of jeans and boots and a hoodie or some fucking tattoos make you think somebody ain't working hard, taking care of their family and doing what they got to do out here. Don't believe that. Because I'm seeing a lot of dog men out here now promoting some kind of slick bullshit with their animals, or the people that they believe they're selling their dogs to. Because like I said, I'm more worried about a motherfucker with a shirt and tie on than I'm worried about a dude with a hoodie and some baggy jeans. That's coming from where I come from. I'm more worried about the dude with the shirt and tie. because he's the dude that's probably gonna end up fucking you at the end of the day. That's just facts. But with all that being said, I hope this was a video that touched on some things that put you in the mindset of what's going on out here with these dogs. Like I said, perception versus reality. What the fuck you gonna do?